Years before the sold-out stadiums, the 40 billion streams, and the countless Reddit posts speculating on how many murders Youngboy was responsible for, he was just a troubled southern kid from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. His real name is Kentrell Deshaun Goulden, and he was born in 1999 in Baton Rouge, where he grew up in the city's north side around 38th Street and Chippewa, suffering a turbulent childhood overshadowed by violence and tragedy, in part due to his father getting a 55-year sentence for armed robbery and attempted murder, and the death of his beloved grandmother who raised him. This all led to Youngboy being sent to a group home where he would suffer severe abuse and bullying, before he would eventually start a life of crime of his own during his teenage years, doing home invasions and robberies that would eventually land him in juvenile detention. It was during this time that Youngboy finally found his purpose through writing rhymes, and upon his release, he began recording low-quality songs at home with his friend and roommate OG33 using a cheap microphone from Walmart. It didn't take him long to pick up a buzz in the Baton Rouge street rap scene, and he soon aligned himself with a local rap label and borderline gang known as Top Boy Gorilla, or TBG, led by rappers G Money and Fredo Bang. Unfortunately, one of the first people to give Youngboy a leg up in his career would wind up being the first of many people that would be murdered to protect that career. Youngboy would eventually release his first mixtape, Life Before Fame, under the TBG label in 2015, but soon issues like jealousy, disputes over money, and street beefs seemed to cause a falling out between Youngboy and TBG, and in the aftermath, he and his close friend OG33 branched off and started their own movement that would eventually be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm of course talking about NBA, aka Never Broke Again, which became both a rap label and a tight-knit crew of Youngboy's closest friends, as well as his most prolific shooters and killers. This included infamous figures like Ben 10, Big B, Herm, Montana, Michi Baby, KD, Lil Pap, and Baba, just to mention a few. Moreover, in countless lyrics, Youngboy and other NBA members would claim allegiance to a gang known as 4KT or 4K Trey, which appears to be a larger street alliance in Baton Rouge, and possibly also in other cities that Youngboy and his friends would represent. There's been endless debate about the true underlying meaning of 4K Trey. Some have suggested it refers to those who kill for Youngboy, or killing for Kentrell. Others have suggested that it actually referred to the beef with TBG from the south side of Baton Rouge who rep the 4, saying that they're 4K or 4 killers, and that they banged the 3 or the Trey, while others have suggested that it refers to forever killing the Ops. But whatever the true meaning, the broader national alliance of this gang appears to be within the Bloods, more specifically the notorious East Coast originated Blood faction known as Money Murder, or SMM, who are known for sometimes representing themselves with the bright green color instead of the traditional red, while also making use of other symbolism based on this color theme, like calling each other slime. But before NBA or 4K Trey would allegedly commit their first murder, they would suffer a tragic loss of their own, which led to one of the only incidents where Youngboy himself had been confirmed to have personally been involved in a shooting. These events began unfolding when Youngboy's cousin Boozilla, affiliated with a crew known as BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas, was gunned down in November 2016. BBG was a direct rival to TBG, the label and gang that Youngboy declined to sign to, who had since turned from Youngboy's acquaintances to his main rivals. In the aftermath of Boozilla's murder, Youngboy would wind up catching a double attempted murder charge for a shooting incident where he and other known NBA members tried to avenge Boozilla's death. The following year, in 2017, Youngboy would plead guilty to aggravated assault and ended up getting a suspended sentence in this case. Effectively, the judge had been very merciful and granted him a second chance at life in his career with strict conditions. Soon after his release, he would hit the big leagues with his music, dropping the coveted AI Youngboy mixtape, charting on Billboard, and signing a $2 million deal with Atlantic Records. But while Youngboy's career was reaching new heights, his feud with TBG would intensify, and his former friend G Money would soon become his biggest rival. G Money would begin dissing Youngboy with dedicated tracks like WNBA Smoke, where he appears to threaten to send his shooters at Youngboy and the NBA crew, rapping that if you take it there with him, you're not going to make it back. Youngboy would fire back in songs such as Ride On 'Em, with chilling lyrics claiming that the only way the beef would end was with G Money getting shot, and even hinting that he'd put a bag on his head. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make one thing clear. You can hate on Youngboy all you want, and you can call me the feds, but this is a dangerous man who warns his enemies and tells them exactly what's going to happen to them. G Money was warned what would happen in 2017 if he kept playing with Youngboy, but he didn't take these warnings seriously, and he wound up being the first of many who unfortunately found out the hard way that nothing can get in the way of the NBA empire. The conflict kept escalating throughout 2017 as both sides would go back and forth on social media.
Yeah, that little like my little partner, he used to be like my little brother. He stayed with me and everything. Everything was still all good until he started, you know what I'm saying, like doing his own thing, getting them a little buzz, getting a little money. He just got the big, he mad about his sister too though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had her a long time ago.
You don't like me or something? I'm about beefing, what it is? I don't like you, I'm gonna keep on it, I don't like you.
Talking about you don't like him, this and that. You ain't no
G Money wanted all the smoke, and his next move would be a fatal escalation. On August the 27th, 2017, G Money dropped his notorious song Industry, another dedicated diss track aimed at Youngboy and NBA. But this time, G Money would get way more personal, mentioning people close to Youngboy like his late cousin Boozilla and his mother Sharonda, as well as his sister, this time in a way that made sure that the relationship between these two former friends would never be repaired. But perhaps most interestingly, G Money also revealed that someone had allegedly put $100,000 on his head, with Redditors later spreading rumors that Youngboy's notorious manager Big Dump was actually the very person behind this $100,000 bounty. Famously, the video also prominently featured a Chucky doll, which was apparently a reference to an earlier Youngboy video called What I Was Taught from September 2016, where the same doll could be seen, and this cursed doll would continue to pop up in spooky ways on both sides of this beef for years to come. From here, G Money kept taking shots at Youngboy and the NBA crew whenever he could.
You, when you do this and do that and do that, you ain't sticking with a so you. I ain't tripping on no this and no none of that, you heard me? You, your mama, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, whoever. Way throwback, you heard me? Made you script and you ain't do nothing about it. So how you think you could tell me something?
And unfortunately, in some of these videos, G Money was also revealing his location, as he can be seen standing outside a building while claiming that Youngboy suddenly turned into a supposed killer after getting his record deal.
Say, Lil, you know you ain't living like that, man. You get a deal and you done turn to a killer. When you start doing all that, man, you know you ain't cut like that, man. You know TBG been your muscle, boy. And the same you talking about usually don't live in jail, wherever they at, man. That's the same ran you out of Nouveau in the city, man. Yeah, you remember Will? Yeah, Will's out there. Yeah, you remember you ran out that store, man. You know what's happening with us, man. You hear me? Real. And I'm living out shit, you hear me? Everything you got with a deal, I got without a deal, man. You hear me? You know, 30 plus on my neck with no deal. Yeah, for real. Driving in $100,000 coupes and man. Yeah, with no deal, boy. You better stop playing and stay in your place, son.
People familiar with the city of Baton Rouge could likely recognize easily that he was standing in front of a local recording studio on the 1900 block of Dallas Drive, where TBG were known to record at. The very same studio was also featured prominently in the music video for G Money and Boulevard Quick's track, Set Trippin'. Unfortunately for G Money, he massively underestimated two things. He underestimated how easy he was to find in the city, and he hugely underestimated Youngboy and the NBA crew's willingness to kill to protect their budding empire. In the early morning hours of September the 10th, 2017, G Money was at that very same studio, seemingly recording another diss track aimed at Youngboy, where he called the people's favorite rapper a liar. This would unfortunately end up being his last recording, as around 1:30 AM, G Money would step outside the studio building and take his last breath before he was ambushed and shot dead.
Baton Rouge police are looking into a deadly shooting that claimed the life of a local rapper. Police say someone shot and killed 22-year-old Garrett Burton on Dallas Street around 1:20 last night. Burton performed under the name G Money.
An alleged picture of the shooter at the scene would later circulate on Reddit. G Money's good friend Fat Chapo, who was with him at the studio the night of the murder, would later describe the evening's dark events in a later interview.
I was the first out the door. G walked out that door by himself. I told him before he walked out the door, like, and when I went to go get the slippers, he walked out the door on his own. And they start shooting. When they start shooting, I really didn't know what was going on because I heard a boom, but when as soon as the shooting stopped, I ran out the door. Nobody was still, I still never saw nobody. It was more like, you know what I'm saying, it f***ed me up instantly.
But just as chilling as the murder itself were the haunting details that came out afterwards. The day after G Money was killed, someone would go to the studio to document the murder scene, where they ended up capturing footage where bloody pillows could be seen laying on the ground. A picture of this pillow would also be posted on social media, where it would eventually go down in infamy as one of the most terrifying pieces of folklore about the Baton Rouge streets. This haunting image would start a wild rumor that G Money's killers had actually thrown a pillow and told him to go to sleep after shooting him dead. It's unclear exactly who started this dark rumor, rumor, but it had a powerful effect on the Baton Rouge streets. The word of the bloody pillow would spread all around Louisiana, and Youngboy and the NBA crew would become notorious not just as shooters, but like action movie mobsters who left props at the scene of murders to send others a message. While the truth behind these pillows turned out to be nothing as cold and calculated as people on Reddit might have you believe, even this make-believe story would survive in infamy for years, and it made the NBA gang out to be like boogeymen in Baton Rouge. But the truth is, the pillows had most likely been used by medics who came to the scene to help G Money after the shooting. But it seems that Youngboy and his team would take full advantage of this online folklore, and Youngboy would later rap several lyrics where he referenced pillows in relation to murders, like in the 2020 song Step On, where he rapped that he would lay his ops' beds and throw them a pillow, and in the 2023 song Let's Do It, where he described his gang creeping up and laying their ops' head on a pillow when they kill them. In the music video for this song, Youngboy even gets down and lays his head onto an actual pillow. The bloody pillow was a terrifying symbol of how far NBA members would take it if you got in their way, and as time went on, from this first murder, Youngboy would continue to reference G Money, leaving cryptic warnings for anyone else who might gamble with their lives playing with the NBA. A new song titled Poor One would release about a month after G Money's murder and appeared to be explicitly dedicated to him, with Youngboy starting his first verse, recalling a time when their bond felt more like a brotherhood before G Money shattered Youngboy's trust by sleeping with his sister and bragging about it online. This was the first time one of NBA's rivals suffered deadly consequences in the streets after playing with Youngboy, and he was not shy about reminiscing and talking openly about the person who had lost their life. Yet despite this being an open secret in the Baton Rouge streets, the authorities to this very day have struggled to truly get to the bottom of this case. It would take close to 2 years before they finally named any suspects in G Money's murder, but finally in June 2019, DeAndre Fields, better known on the streets as Lil Pap, or NBA Pap, will be charged with second-degree murder in connection to G Money's death.
DeAndre Fields, Baton Rouge police say they arrested him years after the shooting death of a local rapper, Garrett Burton. Back in 2017, Burton went by the name of G Money.
In his early music, Youngboy had painted a picture of Pap as being one of his main shooters, and now here he was, accused of shooting Youngboy's biggest rival dead. Lil Pap initially pled not guilty, and years later he would accept a plea deal on greatly reduced charges of accessory after the fact to murder, receiving a mere 5-year sentence. But interestingly, Pap would still swear to the judge and people close to him that he was innocent, and this sentiment was shared amongst G Money's close friends like TBG rapper Fredo Bang, who would also later claim several times publicly that Pap indeed wasn't G Money's killer.
Y'all started sending me that instead of sending it to her, I was like, you seen it? You seen it? Yeah, I seen it. Police make arrests, might be wrong. A man ain't do that.
Do you know the guy that's being charged? Okay. You said that you didn't think the guy that they're charging with the murder actually did it.
Youngboy's lyrics on the leaked song, Keeping It True, seem to echo this same sentiment, with him rapping how after an op died in the night, his brother kept it solid and didn't tell, even though he wasn't the shooter. Even G Money's own mother would post on social media after Pap's guilty plea that she also believed that he wasn't the actual killer of her son, leaving this first murder connected to Youngboy and his squad of killers still shrouded in mystery, not only robbing G Money's family of justice, but also meaning that whichever NBA soldier who did kill G Money might still be walking the streets and stages behind Youngboy to this day, being ready to kill again. There's of course been various rumors as to exactly what went down that night and who was responsible. G Money's mother would make a post on Instagram showing a picture of 3 prominent NBA members, BBG Fredo, Ben 10, and Baby Joe, saying these were the 3 people that the police said killed her son. Other rumors would circulate, particularly on Reddit, where many have claimed that Pap indeed was not responsible, but was only connected to the case due to being caught with the gun that was used in the hit, while some have denied this. Some spread false rumors that Youngboy might have killed G Money personally, but he apparently had the perfect alibi, playing a show in New York City at the Gramercy Theatre that very night. Other NBA members would be caught on live with Quando Rondo in 2018, including OG3, Ben 10, and off-screen, Baba Osama, who is heard saying that they're smoking on G Money before a frustrated OG3 ends the live abruptly.
Yeah, we smoking on G Money right now. What?
One far-fetched rumor circulating on Reddit suggested that NBA Herm and Baby Joe were actually the shooters and that it was Ben 10 who threw the pillow and told him to go to sleep. Herm's name has been put forward by some on social media due to very suspect posts made by Youngboy over the years, as well as the fact that he appeared right next to Youngboy when he laid his head on the pillow in the music video for Bitch Let's Do It, as well as being on the original live that teased the song, with people commenting how crazy it was to rap these lyrics stood right next to the killer. Some believe that Youngboy actually confirmed that Herm was responsible on social media during a feud feud with the rapper No Cap, where No Cap had apparently claimed that everyone in Baton Rouge was trying to claim the G Money murder, with Youngboy responding that you must not know about the Black Sheep, referring to Herm's nickname, while others adamantly believe that actually it was Ben 10 who was truly responsible for the hit, which makes the fact that he was caught liking the IG posts of the mother of G Money's child all the more chilling. But even as the mystery continues, so does the disrespect, as G Money's grave has been vandalized numerous times, and G Money's mother still has no justice, as she heartbreakingly has posted him on her Instagram page every day for years. But sadly, she would only be the first of over a dozen mothers who would mourn the loss of their children.